Walk into any guitar shop in 2026 and you are going to see dozens of brands competing for your money. Gibson, Fender, PRS, Taylor, Martin, Gretsch, Guild, Epiphone, Squier, Charvel, Jackson, ESP, Schecter, Ibanez, Yamaha, Takamine, Seagull, Godin, Suhr, Tom Anderson, Collings, Breedlove, Larrivee, and about 50 more that fight for the middle shelf space. Most of them are not worth your money anymore. Some of them never were. Some of them were great 10 years ago and have slipped in quality since, and a small handful have quietly gotten better while nobody was paying attention. Today we are going through the only 8 guitar brands that still deserve your money in 2026 if you are buying something you want to own for the rest of your life. This is the Buy It for Life list. No sentimental picks, no heritage logos that coast on their reputation. Just brands that are still building guitars the way serious players expect them to be built. Let us start with the brand most players have heard of but few have actually played. Number 1. Suhr Guitars. John Suhr started his company in California after a long career building guitars for Fender's custom shop. And he built Suhr around a simple idea. Every guitar that leaves the shop should be set up and fretted to the standard of a $10,000 custom order, regardless of what it costs. A Suhr Classic S starts around $3,000. A Suhr Standard runs closer to $4,000. These are not cheap guitars. But the consistency is where Suhr earns its reputation. Every fingerboard is plec leveled before it ships. Stainless steel frets are standard on most models, which means the fret surface will outlast the rest of the guitar in normal playing conditions. The tone woods are hand-selected, and the rejection rate at the Suhr shop is high enough that players talk about it on forums. When you buy a Suhr, you are paying for the guitars that did not pass quality control, more than for the one that did. Suhr guitars also hold value on the used market in a way that most boutique brands do not. A 10-year-old Suhr Classic S sells for 90% of its original price on Reverb. And that alone tells you how the market views this brand. Number 2. Fender Custom Shop. Now, the regular American Professional 2 line is not on this list, and that is intentional. At $1,600 for a Stratocaster, the American Professional has become a decent guitar at a strange price point. The Player 2 from Mexico covers 90% of the experience for half the money. The Fender Custom Shop is a completely different conversation. These guitars start around $3,000 and climb past $10,000. They are built in a small team-based facility in Corona, California, with master builders whose names appear on the neck plate and Time Machine series models that recreate specific years of Fender production down to the exact nitrocellulose finish formula and the correct bobbin wire for the pickups. A master-built Stratocaster is not a mass-produced guitar. It is a one-person, one-guitar build. And the consistency of feel, the accuracy of vintage specs, and the finish work are on a level that the regular American line cannot touch. If you want a Fender that is actually worth the Fender premium, the Custom Shop is where the money goes. Everything below it is increasingly fighting a losing battle against better-built imports. Number 3. PRS Core, built in Maryland. Paul Reed Smith runs one of the tightest production operations in the guitar industry. The Core line, built in Stevensville, Maryland, ranges from the Custom 22 and Custom 24 around $3,500 up to hollow body and private stock models that cross $10,000. What makes PRS Core different is that almost everything is done in-house. The wood is dried in their own facility. The body shapes are carved on PRS-owned CNC machines with tolerances that match their private stock builds. The 8515 pickup program was developed internally over years of prototyping. Even the tremolo bridge is a PRS original design. engineered to stay in tune through aggressive playing while staying closer to vintage specs than a Floyd Rose. The consistency of a PRS Core guitar is genuinely remarkable. You can play 10 custom 24s from 10 different years, and they will feel nearly identical. That is not normal in the guitar industry, and it is the main reason a PRS Core guitar holds value through decades of ownership. Number 4. Collings Guitars, Austin, Texas. Bill Collings started building guitars in Texas in the 1970s, and the company he founded has become one of the most respected acoustic builders in the world. A Collings D2H Dreadnought runs around $7,000, and OM2H sits closer to $6,000. These are expensive instruments, and there is no SE line or value version in the Collings lineup. What you get for the money is one of the tightest acoustic builds you will find anywhere. Collings tops are hand-voiced, which means a luthier taps and flexes each spruce top until the resonance matches a target tone before it gets braced. The braces are scalloped by hand. The binding work is museum quality, and the finish is a thin nitrocellulose that allows the top to vibrate freely. Collings acoustics sound better with age. A 10-year-old Collings D2H is worth more on the used market than it cost new. That is the kind of brand equity you cannot fake with marketing. Number 5. Taylor Guitars. Taylor is on this list for a different reason than Collings. Collings builds by hand at a slow pace. Taylor builds with precision CNC machinery at a high volume, and they have used that scale to drive genuine engineering innovation. The V-Class bracing system, introduced by master luthier Andy Powers, is the most significant acoustic guitar innovation in the last 30 years. The traditional X-brace pattern has been the standard since Martin invented it in the 1850s. Taylor's V-Class pattern changes the way the top vibrates, producing more sustain, better intonation up the neck, and a tonal clarity that players notice immediately when they plug in or mic the instrument. Taylor builds at every price point. The 100 series runs around $700. The 800 series presentation models cross $4,000. The consistency across that range is what sets Taylor apart. A Taylor at any price tier will have tight fretwork, clean finish, and reliable intonation. The tone woods get better as the price climbs, and the bracing and bracing voicing get more refined, but the baseline quality stays high all the way down the catalog. Number 6. Martin Standard Series. Martin is the oldest guitar company in America, founded in 1833, and the history is real. But not every Martin is on this list. The Road Series and remastered lines have become uneven in quality and do not represent what Martin does well. The Standard Series and the Authentic Series, built in the Nazareth, Pennsylvania factory, are the real Martin experience. A D18 Standard runs around $2,500. A D28 Standard sits around $3,200. The Authentic Series, which recreates specific pre-war Martin models with hide glue construction and thin finishes, starts around $7,000 and climbs past $15,000 for the 1937 specs. What you pay for with a Standard Series Martin is the one thing Martin has always done better than any other builder. These guitars age into better instruments. A Martin Dreadnought at 20 years old will out-resonate the same model fresh off the factory floor, and a 50-year-old Martin in good condition is often worth more than its modern equivalent. Nothing in the acoustic guitar world compares to the way a properly built Martin opens up over decades of playing. If you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. We cover guitar gear every week so you can play better and spend smarter. All right, 3 more brands to go, and these are the ones where the list starts getting interesting. Number 7. Ibanez Prestige and J Custom. Ibanez is a brand most players associate with metal and shredders, and the budget-level Ibanez lineup reflects that reputation. But the Prestige line, manufactured at the Fujigen factory in Japan, is a completely different tier of instrument. A Prestige RG or S model runs between $1,500 and $2,500. What you get at that price is stainless steel fretwork, premium tone woods, Ibanez's Edge or Goto tremolo systems, and neck profiles so consistent that players order Prestige guitars sight unseen because they know exactly what the feel will be. The Fujigen factory has been building guitars at a world-class level since the 1960s, and the workers at that facility are treated as skilled tradesmen in a way that Western factories have largely moved away from. The J Custom line sits above Prestige, starting around $4,000 and climbing past $6,000. These are effectively Japanese luxury guitars hiding inside a brand that most players think of as budget-focused. The fretwork, finish, and attention to detail on a J Custom is comparable to any American custom shop instrument, and the used market has quietly figured this out. J Customs hold their value almost as well as small shop American builders. Number 8. Charvel Pro-Mod. This one might surprise you. Charvel is owned by Fender, and on paper that should put it in the same category as Jackson and Squier, brands that are leveraged for the Fender distribution network. But Charvel has quietly become one of the best values in the performance guitar space. The Pro-Mod DK24 series runs around $1,100. For that price, you get a compound radius fretboard, which is a feature typically reserved for custom shop guitars. You get stainless steel frets, which will outlast the rest of the guitar. You get locking tuners, you get a Goto or Floyd Rose tremolo, and you get Seymour Duncan pickups that were specified for Charvel's tonal targets, rather than stock original equipment manufacturer pickups. The philosophy at Charvel is that the money goes into the parts your hands actually touch: the neck, the frets, the tuners, the bridge, the pickups. The stuff you interact with every time you pick up the guitar. The fancy aesthetic flourishes are secondary. For a player who prioritizes playability and performance over vintage looks, a Charvel Pro-Mod will outperform guitars that cost twice as much from more prestigious brands. And that is the full list. 8 brands in 2026 that still earn the money they charge: Suhr, Fender Custom Shop, PRS Core, Collings, Taylor, Martin Standard Series, Ibanez Prestige and J Custom, and Charvel Pro-Mod. Notice what these brands have in common. None of them are riding on heritage alone. None of them have cut corners at their flagship price point to chase volume. And every one of them is obsessed about a specific element of construction, whether that is fretwork, tone woods, bracing, or hardware quality. The brands that did not make this list are not necessarily bad. There are good guitars being made at Gibson, at Epiphone, at Squier, at Gretsch, at Guild. But if you are buying a guitar to own for the next 40 years, you want a brand where the 10th guitar off the line feels as good as the first, and where the factory is still willing to reject instruments that do not meet the standard. Those are the 8 brands that still do that.